Being a taciturn recluse can be exhausting. Sometimes I need a spot to sit and not move for seconds on end, so I built a chair. I started to sketch ideas of what I wanted the chair to look like, though it had no effect on the final product. The first thing I wanted to do was get a comfortable shape for the backrest. I chose to do this by cutting a piece of wood to length that I wanted and removing any offending parts with a jigsaw. Thinking on paper some more, I figured I should make two supports which would each be a back leg and a bracket for the backrest pieces to slide into. If I were intentionally using proper chair terminology, I would call these the stiles. I cut out the pieces for the supports, brackets for the legs and back of the chair with larger pieces that would connect the two. These components were glued together, leaving a half-inch gap for the 3/4 inch plywood that I'm calling the seat. Estimating that glue by itself would probably not be sufficient, I reinforced the legs with kebab skewers reinforced with more glue. Too much glue, giving my skin a diseased appearance which took both effort and arm hair to wash off. At this time there were small bits of skewers sticking out of the piece, so I cleaned with the legs by shaving off the stubble, and made the supports identical by taking them to the bandsaw. By now I had realized that my original plan of using small planks of wood to make the backrest was made impractical since I forgot to cut the holes in the bracket before gluing it. In place of a good idea, I clamped the supports together and drilled holes through both, which were slotted with lengths of dowel. I widened the seat slot by reducing the saw cut depth and removed the trespassing material plus some extra to send a message. I spent the next arduous and frustrating moments reinserting the dowel and spacing the supports to the desired width. Since it was only friction holding the dowel in place with the supports, it was back to the kebab skewers and glue, drilling through the back enough to put a hole through the dowel for the skewers to hold the dowel in place. At this stage of the build, I was finally confident in the width of the seat, so I trimmed it to the wrong size. Using the same notch principle as the back supports, I was going to cut 4 lengths of plank to make the front legs, but I realized that the plank I had was almost split in two, so I cut 2 pieces and separated them into jagged halves, and used the saw to cut the notches. The legs were held in place by glue, which was supplemented by 2x4s holding the entire rig together. And that was it. I could have gone farther, add some proper armrests, shape the seat, sand the entire thing, but I reached a point where I liked the chair and was happy to use it. It didn't have to be beautiful.